racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Now it's time to let our proverbial hair down, I guess even more than we already have for this particular series. It's a change of day of the week. It's a change of atmosphere. This is the Pro Truck Showdown Summer Series brought to you by Scamander Coffee Mug and Racecraft Simulations. We've got a 4-round series here running on Tuesday nights over the summer months here in Australia, taking the Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 2 trucks around a few magnificent road courses, and the first of those is going to be the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've gone with the same format for previous seasons of the Pro Truck Showdown. It's a 5-lapper, a 7-lapper, and a 9-lapper, the 3 races tonight. And there's an awful lot of action coming up. My name is Reese Gardiner. Joining me once again in the commentary box is Cameron Dance. And Cam, we are back here in North Carolina, just waiting to see how the racing's going to go as the drivers are in qualifying. A few new faces here tonight.
Yeah, there certainly is a few new faces out there tonight, so it'll be good to see who's going to end up mixing it up the front of the field and who's going to end up finishing where with the change up in the lineup on track. So yeah, looking forward to it. And this track seems to have provided some very interesting moments in practice, a lot of curb hopping going on and some very, very quick times as well. So it's going to be very, very competitive from what we can gather.
Yes, indeed. That is the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway, reconfigured in 2019 for the NASCAR Cup Series race there, and uses most of the original road course at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but with a few reconfigurations in other places, most notably those 2 chicanes at 11 and 12 and turns 15, 16, and 17. That's an extra couple of braking zones where drivers can send one down the inside. And we've got, of course, the 2 banked turns of the oval for drivers to contend with, and they can carry an awful lot of speed out onto those straights. So as we mentioned, qualifying is underway, and each driver gets 1 lap in these 6 minutes to set their time for the Race 1 grid. We're following Dwayne Preece around at the moment through this twisty infield section. An awful lot of elevation change around here, which is a bit atypical for a combined road and oval course. But back out onto the NASCAR circuit again, and that blue line down the bottom is the track limit. There's been no word on whether or not drivers can use the apron on a fast lap, but it seems that using the banking is faster anyway, so I don't think we'll be seeing much of that. And this chicane, Cam, is really something special. Heavy braking and big curves.
Yeah, certainly. There's some very, very big turtle curbs on the inside, and it's very, very easy to end up getting it wrong and possibly running a risk of rolling your truck if you're not very careful. So you're going to have to be a little bit careful that you don't go too deep in there and get yourself an off track and validate your qualifying lap time. It was debatable as to whether Dwayne's had that happen, but he's coming through the final chicane up and over the curbs quite nicely, comes across the line, and it's going to actually count and put himself P4 for the time being.
Excellent stuff as Justin Howe goes fastest, 1 minute 32.209. Justin was the only driver to get into the 1 minute 31s in practice, so he is keeping that momentum going as we follow around the other competitors. Dylan DEBONO making an appearance again in this series and coming across the line. See where he puts himself. That's going to be P5 for Dylan. Not a bad run there, 33.5. And Daniel Stevens, this is one of the competitors that's been taking a few liberties with liveries recently. He, as he crosses the line and puts himself, actually looks like P9 for Daniel Stevens. Not a bad campaign to start things off. He actually said to our director, Jay, before this got going, he's going to be putting a sausage roll on the side of his car for every rollover he has, and he's currently on 6 as we take a look at Zach Blanche.
Yeah, certainly. He's at least making good humour of the situation when he ends up on his lid, at least. So good to see Dan out there racing, and hopefully he doesn't end up on his lid tonight and adding more sausage rolls to that livery. But Zach Blanch so far has had a pretty solid lap so far, so it'll be interesting to see what the lap time's going to be as he comes through NASCAR 3 and 4 and then heads down towards the final chicane, trying to get over to the left-hand side with all that weight transfer and using a little bit of the curve before monstering the one on the left-hand side, and he's going to come across the line. And it ended up being a 34.9 of himself, P12.
Not bad there for Zach Blanch. We've still got half the field left to set their times as there's less than a minute to go in the qualifying session. Craig Roffey crosses the line, and I don't know if that's to start a hot lap or if he's just completed one that's been invalidated. Wilhelm Leighton finding the wall at turn 1. I think his qualifying is done. There might be quite a few drivers tonight getting their laps invalidated because of off tracks. The track limits here at this layout, they're very easy to exceed with the curbs and just how much tarmac there is to use on entry and exit. But it looks like that's how the qualifying is going to stack up. It's going to be Justin Howe and Mitchell McLeod on the front row, and Ryan Jones putting in a pretty good time there to put himself P3 alongside Sam Devantier, who we haven't seen for a while. Dylan DeBono and Sam Stride together on row 3. Dwayne Priest and Sean Hurley starting alongside each other on the 4th row with Stevens and Favelle rounding out the top 10. Gregory Favelle near the top of the times in practice, so look out for him in the race.
Yeah, certainly going to be one to look out for. And then you go over the page to having Todd Maxfield and Zach Blanch just outside the top 10 and 11th and 12th. 13th point to Kevin Sadler and Tyler Lugo Vickery, followed by Christopher Finlay and Ben Snell, Cohen Attard, Matthew Hill, Daniel Aish, and Craig Roffey rounding out the top 20.
Quite a big field here as Aaron Dillon lines up 21st next to David Blanch, Gary Wellman and Damian Westbrook, row 12. Brian Traziz and Zachary Burge, 25th and 26th. Paul Foss starts alongside our pole sitter's father, Philip, 28th position for him, and Wilhelm Leighton, the last and 29th car to start this race. And have a look at that. It's going to be a standing start, and already the drivers at the back of the field will have to work their way through a couple of turns.
Yeah, certainly starting on the other side of the chicane, some of them, and even some of them starting in the middle of it. So it's certainly going to make for quite an interesting thing to start for a few of those drivers who have to navigate their way through that final chicane, and is probably going to make this start a little bit more important to make sure they don't end up with the buckets of wheel spin.
As you can see in the bottom right, we got 3 races tonight and progressive grid. That means that the results from race 1 define the grid for race 2, and the results from race 2 define the grid for race 3. And it looks to me like the weather is pretty good as well. Nice low track temperatures, which should provide a good amount of grip to the drivers. There's only 20 seconds left on the gridding timer as we're waiting for the final few trucks to join the grid, and we'll be on for 5 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And as you mentioned, Cam, it is a very short run to turn 1, so if someone messes up the start, they won't have much of a problem losing that position. We'll see what happens though. The revs rise, and we are counting down to the start for the Pro Truck Showdown Summer Series, and we are away. Looks like a pretty good start from Mitchell McLeod. In a good phase, second phase off the start as the rear of the field has made their way through the first couple of chicanes nicely. It's on for the lead. McLeod side by side with Justin Howe, and he fires it right into the turn, but Howe with the inside line picks up the throttle a little bit better. Now Ryan Jones on the verge of passing Mitchell McLeod. He goes deep into the third turn, and up the inside goes Jones, pressuring him there for the second spot on the podium. It looks like the top 3 breaking away as there's moves behind. Dylan DeBono just cutting off Sam Devantier for 4th place, and a little bit of an incident at the back of the field as there seems to be a pack of their own forming. Some great racing here in the back, and oh no, I've seen a truck up and over. Damian Westbrook is in the wall.
Yeah, that was just weird contact. Unfortunately, up and over he went. That was a big rollover as well, and it didn't take a lot of contact with David Blanch either. So that's not been a good start for Westbrook at all, and he's had a bit of a rough time over these last few rounds as well to end up on his lid as well.
Yeah, there's the incident there. David Blanche just going up the inside of Westbrook and going straight into the side of him. Big thanks to Racecraft Simulations on the replays, new replay sponsor for this series. And oh my goodness, Jones and McLeod together, and Jones into the wall through NASCAR 3 and 4. They're really pushing each other hard here for the last 2 spots on the podium. And Justin Howe has actually been helped out a lot by this. He's got a good gap to the trucks behind. McLeod going so deep into the final chicane that he almost runs off the track. And have a look at Dylan DEBONO. He's right on the back of these guys as Jones goes for the move at turn 1 on Mitchell McLeod. And contact McLeod into the wall. And he's had a bit of trouble getting himself unstuck from there. Concertinaed back into the pack. Dwayne Priest and Sam Stride now having to face up against last season's champion. He took the championship in style at Interlagos to McLeod, and Sam Stride taking the position in style from Dwayne Priest. That was a great move, using those 2 left-handers to get up the inside, but Priest will get him back here. Door-to-door contact on the run into the next turn, as that's Philip Howe around. That's a big problem for him, but this is a real fight now for, I think, 4th place on back.
Yeah, it certainly is quite the train from pretty much 4th on back, and you can see everybody trying to scrap for position. Sam Stride's going to try and look to the inside of Dwayne Priest, getting 2 wheels on the apron. He's going to give McLeod a bit of a push to get up there, but McLeod seems to be possibly struggling with a little bit of damage in a straight line, and he's going to end up pulling it off.
Oh my goodness, what happened to McLeod there? That's a real shame for him. He might have messed up the exit or damage or missed a gear, but oh my goodness, that was huge through the chicane. Stride sent himself around there, took a bit too much curb and got the truck unsettled. The trucks behind couldn't really do much about it. And they're now 3 wide with Sean Hurley down on the apron. Mitchell McLeod, though, on the banking is going to go all the way around him. And I don't think this is the start that the reigning champion wanted from this season. From a 2nd place start, he's now down to the back end of the top 10, and it looks like he might stand to lose another position as Matthew Hill now is alongside him into the 1st turn.
Yeah, certainly. He's not having that good of a run in this race so far is McLeod, but you can see it's all going on just at the front inside that top 5. Devante has got his hands full with Matthew Hill, is pressuring him very, very hard. Looks to the inside as well, up on the curb, and just managed to get on through. Stevens getting very, very sideways as well, and is going to send it up the inside at the following corner. So that's going to be 2 positions lost there in the end for Sam Devante.
It certainly is, and Stevens up the inside and right onto the throttle to get the inside for this double left-hander, which is a very difficult turn to get right, especially through here. You see how blind it is for the driver on the entry, cutting all the way to the inside. Very difficult to put the power down as Gregory FAVELLE now has the run on Mitchell McLeod, and yeah, that's quite big damage for Mitch after that contact with the wall, thanks to that incident with Ryan Jones just before. He has completely lost all of his straight line speed and is just descending further and further down the grid. We know Mitch, he likes to have a bit of fun and he'll want to see the night out, but he is not going to be starting from a good position in race 2 as it's now on for the lead. Jones has managed to get onto the back of Justin Howe. We'll see how much curb they take here in the final chicane. You can skip right across these things in these trucks. It looks like for the time being, Justin Howe is safe. That may very well change in the next couple of laps, because have a look at that fastest lap from Ryan Jones, a 32.3.
Yeah, he's certainly looking like he's got some very, very good pace at the moment, does Ryan Jones, and he's got 2 more laps to try and get the move done as well. So time is starting to run out for him to possibly get to the front of this field, but you can certainly see it's starting to be a little bit more single file slightly down the order, although 2 wide between Zach Blanche and it looks like Gary Wellman as well on the way through turn number 3. Wellman's going to try hold it around the outside, but isn't going to come out victorious in the end. Nearly contact with Craig Roffey as well. He was getting very out of shape on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, good run from Gary Wellman, but it was stymied there by Craig Roffey, not getting the best exit. And just ahead of Zach Blanche into this sequence of turns, it looks like he's going to have the inside now for the double left-hander. See if Wellman tries to take advantage, takes out all of the blue curbing on the inside, and that's big contact there, hitting Zach Blanche in the rear, forcing him wide, and it looks like that's given a very slight advantage to Gary Wellman, but an even bigger advantage to Craig Roffey. He looks pretty safe from that battle. looking a bit further forward. Daniel, oh, yeah, actually, we should look at the lead. I was going to talk about the battle for P6 on back, but it looks like this is going to be on because Ryan Jones sneaking up to the inside for the final chicane. Is he later on the brakes than Howe? They're going to come together side by side through the final turn and across the line. And oh, there we go. Justin Howe's been turned around there, but I don't think we should blame that on Jones.
It's looked like minor side wheel-to-wheel contact in the end, and it's hard to really put much blame on either driver there. It was more a racing deal, and unfortunately, how he's come off second best in the end, and he's going to end up having a fight with the likes of Priest and DEBONO for these final spots inside the top 5 and on the podium.
Well, Jones was ahead when they came out of the chicane. That's when the move was made, and how they're just making contact with his rear quarter. Well, there was the wall just beyond Ryan Jones. So, unfortunately, Justin had all of that momentum transferred into him. Now Jones is alone in the lead of this race, but there is Justin Howe, a few positions back now, right behind Dwayne Priest and Matthew Hill, who are having one heck of a battle of their own. And can he sneak up the inside there? Well, he can, because they made contact, and oh my goodness, Dwayne Priest tumbling over after making contact. Daniel Stevens there ran right into him with nowhere to go. Stevens has gained a couple of positions out of that one.
Definitely has, and Dwayne Priest unfortunately ended up with a very, very sad-looking truck in the end. But you can see they're all trying their best on the way into the chicane. I do want to have to possibly question whether Bounty is going to have a slowdown there from going through that chicane. Very, very crossed up and very, very hot. But Ryan Jones is going to be coming away with this one with a very, very easy victory.
Yes, he is. Across the line he goes and goes forward. Wait, hang on. What are you doing, Brian? Ryan, what are you doing? He got a slow down at the final corner. Ryan! What do you have to say for yourself, Ryan?
No!
I thought that penultimate corner, he took a bit too much curb there. Well, that's what happens. Dylan DEBONO has come away with the race win here. Jones second, Howe in third, and it's melee across the line. Barely even know where to look. That was Gary Wellman. Just, oh my goodness. I give up, man. These are the race results. Losing the win by 2/10 thanks to a slowdown. Ryan Jones right at the final hurdle. Dylan DEBONO and Justin Howe will join him there on the podium. Stevens coming home to finish fourth, which is certainly a great run from him. Matthew Hill and Sam Devanti are rounding out the top 6. Sean Hurley and Gregory FAVELLE 7th and 8th, with Sam Stride and Gavin Sadler rounding out the top 10. Sadler making his way up from 13th.
They have Aaron Dillon in 11th from 21st on the grid, so a very, very good recovery from him, as well as Craig Roffey to get 12th from 20th on the grid. Zach Blanche is going to be coming home in 13th. 14th to Gary Wellman. Brian Trees rounds out the top 15 from 25th on the grid, so good recovery from him as well. Todd Maxfield in 16th. 17th to Zachary Burge, followed by Christopher Finlay in 18th. 19th to Damian Westbrook in the end, and Cohen and TODD rounding out the top 20.
Tyler Lugo Vickery fell from 14th to 21st. Wilhelm Leighton, though, coming up from the back of the grid to finish 22nd. And Dwayne Priest, unfortunately, having to retire from that, as did Mitchell McLeod, Ben Snell, and the drivers down there at the back of the field. They did not have a great run, and Paul Foss did not even take the start. Hopefully we see him make an appearance tonight. But we're through now into the second race of the night. It's going to be 7 laps here. And Dylan DEBONO is going to have the pleasure of starting this one on pole. But we'll have to see what Ryan Jones and Justin Howe can do to try and take that back from him. I don't think DEBONO was expecting to have taken that, but he'll certainly enjoy the inside run into turn 1. As more drivers come onto the grid, we've got a great view here of what the drivers in the midfield have to deal with. That's... looks like Christopher Finlay there over on the right-hand side of the screen. The number 17 is Zachary Burge as well. And the number 16 of Todd Maxfield starting in the final turn of the circuit. The timer is now at 0, and we're about to get a start here. Dylan DEBONO has suffered some technical issues, unfortunately. He's not on the grid. He's just popped back. Can we get a start from our pole sitter? The green flag flies, but Jones and Howe Don't quite know what to do there. Oh, and DEBONO just popping back into existence. I think that's going to be the end of his night. He's been sent straight into the wall, and oh no, that's caused some huge melee at the back of the pack. Those technical issues for Dylan DEBONO causing the mother of all pile-ups. Mitchell McLeod just making his way through there. Wilhelm Leighton, Damian Westbrook, and Craig ROFFEY, unfortunately coming off second best from that one. But the race continues further back in the field, starting to see some pressuring towards the inside from the likes of, oh, have a look at that, Todd Maxfield just round the outside, coming into the right-hand kink. It's a very difficult corner to get a move done. Oh my goodness, that is huge. Huge hit there, and I'm not sure who that was. That looks like that's Brian Trezise, who has found his way onto his side. Can he actually get back onto his wheels? Racecraft replay, though. We'll see what happened to him. It looks like it was contact with Aaron Dillon.
Certainly didn't. Just bounced off the wall, unfortunately, and into the side of one of the trucks coming through, and unfortunately up and over he went. Cohen Attard trying to redress, I guess, by the looks of it, but just unfortunately not quite able to do it in the end because of the fact that Trezise was on his side. So not exactly what he would have wanted, and didn't really have anywhere to go either.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame Cohen Attard for any of that. He had nowhere to go. All happened so quickly. Trezise, meanwhile, has blown his engine trying to right himself, so I think that's going to be a retirement for him. Justin Howe, though, into the lead, and he is followed by Ryan Jones and Daniel Stevens as lap 1 is completed. Sam Devantier up into position 4 with Gregory FAVELLE now in 5th. Oh my goodness, what on earth has gone on there? Tyler Lugo-Vickery having to pick his way through that. Christopher Finlay now missing his front end. That was a huge smash, and I think just a big crush at the final chicane.
Quite sure what has ended up transpiring there for that to all happen. Racecraft replay to see what happens, but you can see Finlay getting very out of shape, and then everybody else having nowhere really to go, and up and over he goes.
Yeah, and Gary Wellman there getting into the wall as well, just behind. So that's what caused all of that. Unfortunate for Christopher Finlay, but that is what happens when you get straight into that wall. Creeps right up on you. It's on for the lead. It's on for 5th. Gregory FAVELLE now. Oh, up top, 3 wide. No, that's not going to work out for him. And unfortunately, Sean Hurley having to back out of that one. It's given a great advantage to Sam Stride and Todd Maxfield, who've just picked their way past those two. And easy to do there because the track really widens on the exit coming onto the oval. Mitchell McLeod, meanwhile, well, he was right up the front, and unfortunately his race 1 did not go to plan. Neither has his race 2 so far, only 14th so far. Here comes Ryan Jones and Mr. Daniel Stevens. Stevens on the inside, which becomes the outside for the chicane. A little bit of a tap between the two of them, and they give each other great room. Excellent racing between those guys, but you can tell there that Justin Howe and Ryan Jones not willing to go too hard, but they'll push each other as it hard across the line once again. The pack behind. That's Zach Blanche leading up this pack, and oh my goodness, all together we go. That's Ben Snell into the wall. Tyler Lugo-Vickery and Cohen Attard follow them, and Mitchell McLeod will find his way past all of those guys.
Managing to weave his way on through the car and shoot in front of him there, luckily, and will gain a few places out of that, thankfully. But FAVELLE and Maxfield are going at it pretty hard. Stuck in the middle of the road there. That is not exactly what he wanted, and that is Devantier around, and he did that all on his own as well, just clipping the inside wall.
Yeah, that's another thing you can do at this layout if you turn in a bit too early. Here we go. Just fires it towards the inside, and then boop, there we go. He is up and around and coming to a stop where he did. Not optimal. The trucks coming around that corner, they're blind. They couldn't see him from the turn-in point, so not much they could do. Devantier going off the circuit to right himself, and he is now back in the running, down in 14th position. It's on for the lead again, though. Ryan Jones and Justin Howe. They've really gapped Daniel Stevens this time around, so there might have been a mistake. The draft from Howe through the final couple turns of the oval, certainly nothing to sneeze at, and that throttle application wasn't either. He's got the inside line for turn 1, but Jones knows how to race hard, can hold it round the outside, get back on the throttle. A little bit of contact on exit between the two of them, but fair is fair. Oh, got to be careful there, Ryan, because the wall rushes up to meet you. and it's going to be quite the battle for the lead ongoing in this 7-lap second race. Meanwhile, further back, it looks like Mitchell McLeod has worked his way up into position 11. He's currently... Oh, no! Another huge incident at turn 1. It looks like one of those guys involved the 45 of TODD MAXFIELD over on the other side of the barrier. What on earth has gone on there? Philip Howe, I think, also in that. Racecraft Simulations replay. We'll take a look at turn 1 and see if there were people coming together on the exit. McLeod got into it. Here they come, we're hearing, and oh, it looks like, whoa, quite the, that was Damian Westbrook firing in on the inside. I think he might have had an off that he was trying to recover. So, oh yeah, he got bumped right into them. He tried to recover it, but yeah, the truck wouldn't turn and just straight into Maxfield. That's such a unlucky end there for both of them. It's on for the lead, though, again, as we go back to live pictures. Justin Howe has just taken the lead from Ryan Jones at the final corner. And starting the 5th lap, they go. And the battle for third backwards is looking quite intense as well. It's still held up by Daniel Stevens in the number 3. Sam Stride is right behind him. And Damian Westbrook, it looks like, jumped the wall and has continued on. So he is currently classified in 5th place. He missed out the entire infield. I don't know how race control is going to look at that as Gregory FAVELLE sets the fastest lap, but Westbrook has found himself in the midst of the top 5 battle, and he's going to try his best to work something out here if Stevens and Stride get together. As, oh, Justin Howe on the inside of Ryan Jones coming into the turn, coming onto the oval. He's forced Jones a bit wide there, and Daniel Stevens has almost been flipped over there by Sam Stride as well. This racing is getting really intense.
Certainly has, and didn't really... I'm not quite sure how that one between Stevens and Stride has managed to happen. I'm not sure. Daniel checked up a little bit too much, but it was very, very lucky that he didn't end up on his roof, probably thanks to the banking on that corner, but it's on for the lead. Jones nearly ending up in the wall on the outside, trying to hold it around the outside, but he's going to end up losing the place as a result.
Goodness me. Well, you can definitely tell that that this lead battle is far from over as we check back in with Mitchell McLeod just ahead of Aaron Dillon and battling with Zach Blanche for position 11. McLeod still carrying quite a bit of damage and forcing his way up the inside, coming into the final chicane. It's going to be the outside for the penultimate corner. We'll see if Mitch is wise to this, gives Blanche the room and makes his way back through, but we'll have to wait and see how that works out for him in the next lap or so, because it is the penultimate lap for our race leaders, and it'll be white flag next time by. Justin Howe has managed to gap Ryan Jones there. I think Jones might have gotten another slowdown.
Very, very possible that he might have got one based on that gap, but you can certainly see just behind massive pressure from Westbrook. Well, there you go. There's a confirmation that he did indeed get a slowdown from the man himself, but Westbrook now all over the back. He's got a black flag, does Westbrook, so he has to be a little bit careful that he doesn't get DQ'd here, but he's going to certainly fall down the order, and Daniel Stevens managing to also keep ahead of Sam Stride for the time being as well in that battle for 4th and 5th, and Sean Hurley and FAVELLE are now right on the back of those two as well.
And there we have confirmation that Damian Westbrook has been black flagged, so he's not going to play a part in this podium battle now. That battle for 3rd on back, though. Stevens, Stride, Hurley, and FAVELLE all in a line coming out of that chicane. And it seems Sam Stride has put the power down nicely. He's hinting at trying a move on Stevens into the chicane here, keeping up the draft. Is he going to dive for the inside? No, going to stay behind, and Stevens locks up, gets a bit crossed up through the corner. See if that helps out Stridey any. Doesn't look like it has. It is white flag for them, though, so time is rapidly running out for Sam Stride to grab a podium spot here.
He's starting to run a look to the inside there of Stevens, but just couldn't quite get enough of an overlap to make it happen that time by. So he's got to start trying to really apply the pressure, which he's doing, nearly getting onto the back bumper of Daniel Stevens. Looks like he Has just got the power down nicely on the way out of that corner. He's going to drop alongside Stevens here on the inside. Gets it right up over the curb, but just can't quite seem to make the move happen in the end. And he's going to be left to hang up to try on the outside.
Daniel Stevens doing very well to fend off these advances, but he's given the door to Stride on the inside there. Gets the power down nicely, but into the wall. That is what Sam Stride would have been hoping for as they exit NASCAR 2 and 3. Meanwhile, the lead has one final battleground to talk about. They've just gone through the chicane, have Howe and Jones, and Ryan crossed up on the exit. I don't know if that's going to be the win for him now, because Justin Howe has got, I'd say, about half a second of a gap over him. So into the final couple of turns he goes. Doesn't look like there's much happening elsewhere in the field, so we can stay with our leaders here. And Howe crosses the line. Ryan Jones just behind him. Great battle there for the lead between those two. And Damian Westbrook will cross the line in third place, but he's going to be demoted. It's going to be ultimately Sam Stride that gets it done there for the final podium spot. And McLeod, unfortunately, having to clear a slowdown himself at the line. Ben Snell setting the fastest lap on his last lap, which is a bit of a statement for him.
Definitely a very, very nice lap there from Ben Snell, but a very, very good race win from Justin Howe.
Oh my lord. The amount of crashing you see after the line in this series is just beautiful. You could make a Renaissance painting out of some of these crashes. It was Howe, Jones, and Stride, your podium at the end of it. Westbrook, of course, crossing at the line in third there. Sean Hurley will have been classified in fourth, with FAVELLE rounding out the top five. Ben Snell, Gavin Sadler, Todd Maxfield, Zach Blanche, and Sam Devanti are rounding out the top 10. Unfortunately, our reigning champion Mitchell McLeod not having a great run.
Certainly not having the best run.
Stride's been given a penalty as well. He's down to 14.
He has, actually.
Might have been another slowdown for him, but either way, we will continue to go through these results as it's now time for the expression session.
So you got Matthew Hill in 11th, go Vickery in 12th, Finlay 13th, 14th to Stride. After that, what appears to be a penalty, and then you got Mitchell McLeod rounding out top 15, and then Westbrook, Dylan, Priest, Roffey, and Trezise rounding out the top 20.
Crossing the line in 21st was Cohen Attard, Wilhelm Leighton, Gary Wellman, and Dylan DeBono, rounding out 24. 2 laps down, unfortunately, for DeBono. Zachary Burge did not make it to the finish, neither did Daniel Aish. It looks like David Blanche, Philip Howe, and Paul Foss not taking the start. Well, it's time for the 5 minutes where the drivers can have a little breather between races. We've got a 9-lap race 3 coming up for you here at Charlotte Motor Speedway on SimSpeed TV. You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown Summer Series, thanks to Scamander Coffee Mug and Racecraft Simulations.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown Summer Series, round 1 of 4 from Charlotte Motor Speedway's Roval layout. Once again, a big thanks to our series sponsors, Scamander Coffee Mug and Racecraft Simulations. If you're just joining us, I'm Reese Gardner, and Cameron Dance is with me in the commentary box. We've seen 2 action-packed and interesting races so far tonight, Cam, but we've got one more, 9 laps coming up, and we got to remember, we don't know where we're going to be at next week. It's always announced the day before now.
Certainly, and it's one of those things about the series which really does keep it entertaining and keep it interesting as well, because no one's really able to do a lot of practice prior to the round as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where we end up. Who knows where we're going to end up, and looking forward to it at the end of the day.
Yeah, whatever it's going to be, it will certainly turn out to be great racing, because it seems like wherever these trucks go, there's always action. And as warm-up is coming to an end, we do have two drivers in contention for the round win, Ryan Jones and Justin Howe. They finished 1 and 2 in the previous race, but with Jones taking 2 second places, Justin Howe taking a 3rd place and a win, they are tied on points for the round. So whoever finishes ahead is going to take the round win unless someone else decides to throw a spanner into the works. It's going to be an interesting final race here tonight. And the grid, once again, as follows. It's Howe, Jones, Stephen, Hurley, and FAVELLE, your top 5. Ben Snell completing the top 6 with Gavin Sadler, Todd Maxfield, Zach Blanche, and Sam Devantier rounding out the top 10. Drivers like Mitchell McLeod starting further down the field than they want, and Sam Stride is going to be starting from 14th as well. So they have got an awful lot of work to do around this tight and twisty Roval layout. But it's going to be all about the start here. The start of the previous race was unfortunately marred by Dylan DEBONO's technical issues, getting sent into the wall and then causing a pile-up at the rear of the field. But we don't know if we're going to see those kinds of problems here now. The green flag flies, and we're racing one more time here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. A great start from Justin Howe, and Jones immediately moving to the inside to protect second place from Daniel Stevens. Through and almost into the wall goes Sean Hurley as they all crush together on exit. Gavin Sadler, Todd Maxfield, and Ben Snell almost going 3 wide there. And oh, that's a pile-up waiting to happen. Gavin Sadler right in the middle of this, right in the thick of it. And he's getting sent out into the outside. Tyler Lugo Vickery gets bounced into the wall. That's huge melee in the rear of the pack, and drivers having to recover. There's a big pile-up now. On his side is Sam Stride.
It's still going on as well. Aaron Dillon, 3-4 wide even. There's a bounce left, right, and centre. Finlay is just bouncing off everyone left, right, and centre. Priest is in the wall nearly. Sadler's ending up on his side. Roffey's bouncing off, nearly ending up in the wall. This is absolute chaos.
And from it all emerges Aaron Dillon at the front of that pack. He's just letting them all sort themselves out behind him. Dwayne Priest goes to the inside of Gavin Sadler. Goodness me, that was spectacular. Damian Westbrook. Oh, Damian Westbrook. He has so much bad luck. I can't stand seeing that, you know?
Certainly. I think if anybody needs to put some sausage rolls on their car, it certainly needs to be Westbrook, based on how many shunts he unfortunately has in this series. But nevertheless, it's just so unlucky with how many times he's ended up in the fence or upside down or having incidents. But it's all on for the lead at the moment. It's Daniel Stevens, his new race leader. Ryan Jones nearly getting turned by Ben Snell on the way down the front straight. And Howe has contact with Jones. Jones is in the fence.
Oh, no. That's put him behind that pack now. Justin Howe moves ahead with Ben Snell and with Gregory FAVELLE. It looks like Jones might not have huge amounts of damage. He's keeping pace with them for now. We'll see what happens as the laps go on. There's Aaron Dillon right at the front of this, and Sean Hurley around the outside of Dwayne Priest. Can he get it done? Big contact between the two of them. And Sean Hurley has certainly had an eventful debut in this series. All the way across the curb goes Dwayne Priest, and Hurley tries to get him back here. Priest will go wide through the left-hander. That gives him the inside for the right. And remember, they're both chasing Sam Devantier here, who's been trying his best to get into a good place in the top 10. There's a great run through the turn coming onto the oval, though, for Devantier. Won't have to worry about much, and all the way to the bottom of the apron goes Sean Hurley, trying to get an advantage here, but Priest, using the banking, has a bit of a better exit, more momentum, and late on the brakes into the chicane. He almost goes up to the back of Sam Devantier, but just pulls it up at the right time, and they're all through.
managed to get away with that in the end. And the top three all really line astern at the moment. Ben Snell lurking in the background of these two in front of him. Just now going to look to the inside of Daniel Stevens on the way into turn number one. Is he going to get up alongside? Gives him a bit of a bump to get the job done. Snell giving Howie a bit of a rub up as well on the back end to give him a hurry up. And fortunately, they both lost out.
Yeah, Daniel Stevens been given a good advantage out of that, and Snell still trying to pressure the inside here versus Justin Howe, and poor Ryan Jones seems to be having more issues. He's lost another position there. He was passed by Matthew Hill on the last lap, now Zach Blanche, and he's slow on the straight here in the infield as well. McLeod is going to go by just about, along with Todd Maxfield. At the very least, Ryan Jones has two more drivers to battle with here, and he and Mitch McLeod have some unfinished business. I mean, we saw what happened in race one.
They have some unfinished business, especially Mitch. He's had not the greatest night so far, but it's 3 wide. As you saw there just before, absolute chaos going on in the mid-pack of the field as well. They're all really trying to scrap as hard as they possibly can, and Stridey's trying to find a way on by Craig Roffey here as they head through NASCAR 1 and 2. He's going to look to the outside or the inside. He's going to give him a bit of a bump draft. Is it Stridey? He's going to look to the outside for the braking zone, but not going to brake late enough. Roffey's locked it up. Barely managed to pull it up. It might be a Showdown there. Debatable as to whether he did, but certainly was an off track.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw the top three getting very frisky as well, because now it's Ben Snell and Daniel Stevens in the top two, and Justin Howe now behind Matthew Hill. And Hill here has put on a great drive to sneak into the podium positions, and I could say the same for Zach Blanche. Look at him on the inside of Justin Howe. Howe into the wall, and even further into the wall, the number 7 of Gregory FAVELLE. He's actually gone over the wall, and he's now on the other side of the infield. He's going to get a black flag if he keeps going.
Certainly will, and it doesn't look like it's keep going because he's had to tow back to pit lane from being stuck on his side. Replay of what's happened there. He's just come through the corner and clipped the wall, and up and over he went.
And that bounce of the tyres, unfortunately, putting paid to that one for Gregory FAVELLE. It's a shame. He showed some great pace tonight as Daniel Stevens has lost the lead. Our leader is now Matthew Hill. He's managed to pick his way past Ben Snell in the infield, and this is going to be quite the interesting finish if they keep going like this. They're only at the halfway point of the race, so let's see what Ben Snell can do here. Goes to the inside very early down the back straight. Can he outbrake Matthew Hill into the chicane? He's giving it a red-hot go. They get into each other on the run-up to the apex. Hill right across the curbs. That might have been a slowdown for him, but maybe not. Daniel Stevens into the wall and gets turned by Justin Howe. He is around. That's very unfortunate there for Mr. Stevens. He does get it back going, though.
He does. He managed to recover it quite nicely. You can see here Ryan Jones is going to be trying to battle with Mitch McLeod here. He's going to launch it up the inside. Is going to run a little bit deep on the way through the chicane, but it's going to pull it up in the end. So he's going to take position off Ryan Jones. There is Mitchell McLeod, and he'll be happy to do that one. Get one up on Ryan, but he will certainly be just brushing the wall there as well. But you can see just ahead of them. Also,
for the lead.
Hard for the lead. Ben Snell's going to end up in the wall. Matthew Hill nearly ends up in the wall as well. And now they're all back together again.
Yeah, Ben Snell made the move at the chicane to get by, and unfortunately into the grass on the exit of that turn. He has lost touch with Matthew Hill for now as Mitchell McLeod continues to fight here now on the inside as Zach Blanche almost turns around Justin Howe, and here comes Ryan Jones to join the party again. McLeod and Blanche make contact. McLeod and Jones make contact. Jones is through on McLeod. Bit of biff and barge, never hurt no one in that part of the track. And now Jones can focus on trying to move forward as Craig Roffey lifts off to let Matthew Hill, our leader, go.
He does decide that's the smarter option there. And giving a bit of a bump on the way through the chicane there does Ben Snell. Ryan Jones getting squeezed out to the wall as well by Zach Blanche. Mitchell McLeod going to look to the inside of Ryan Jones now on the way down through NASCAR 3 and 4. McLeod's going to have the inside run and is going to get that move done very, very easily. And Zach Blanche going to look to the inside. He's going to be on the outside for the chicane, though. A little bit of contact between Jones and Blanche, but Blanche is not quite going to be able to get on through.
And that was right across the curb there for Ryan Jones. I don't know if that's resulted in a slowdown for him, but Zach Blanche tries to go through again at turn 1, and Jones went as wide as he could and still didn't have enough room given to him there. So now right on his bumper is Ryan Jones and bumping Zach Blanche through the corners. Meanwhile, Matthew Hill has lost the lead to Ben Snell, and contact with Justin Howe for second place. This is quite interesting now. Howie could get through here for second place, potentially a victory. The top 5 very close together at the moment. Mitchell McLeod has managed to work his way up into 4th place, and he's actually catching up to these guys. He's right behind Howe now.
He certainly is right on the talents, all because of the fact that they've all just been battling so hard with each other as well, and it's allowed McLeod to just sneak on through up the order. So he's done a very, very good job to move up the order and end up in P4 at the moment. Justin Howe's going to look the inside of Matthew Hill there on the way down towards the chicane. He's not looking like he's going to get the move done, and Finlay is going to Hill, is going to have to end up going a little bit deep as a result. Now McLeod's going to try around the outside of Howell.
Yeah, great run there from Mitchell McLeod. Hooked up the throttle perfectly. He's going to have the inside line for the chicane if he can keep that momentum up, but it looks like Justin Howe on the inside, bit of a shorter route around the track. He's just eked ahead for now, so McLeod has to sit behind through this chicane, and he's going to have 3 more laps as Howe hits the wall. That could give it an advantage to McLeod into turn 1. Is he going to go for it? Backs it into turn 1, and Howe obviously giving him the room there, but hasn't worked out there for the reigning champion. Meanwhile, our leader Ben Snell all on his lonesome right now. He's taken advantage of all of that fighting and has no pressure on him at the moment.
He doesn't have any pressure on him at all at the moment, but you can see back here Aaron Dillon currently battling hard with Dwayne Priest turning in a little bit early there and ending up on the curb, but you can see the big pack charging behind as well. Daniel Stevens going to look to the inside of Priest, who's just going to let them all on by the looks of it, but because of his slowdown, so he's just going to have to slot in behind all these drivers, and as a result, they're all going to gain an extra position.
Indeed they are. Aaron Dillon, though, still leads up that pack, and Stevens has got Sam Devantier on his inside now. Can Sam hook the power up and get it done? It looks like he can for now, but Mr. Stevens is going to be wise to this. He's going to try and get that position back as soon as he can. Or not. Bit of side-by-side contact through the turn, and Stevens having to jump on the brakes there. That's given the advantage to Sean Hurley now, who goes up the inside of Sam Devantier and keeps going side-by-side through the chicane. And it seems getting the position on the exit, not without a bit of contact, and it is equalized then between Stevens and Devantier as he is back through. And Dwayne Priest gets a free position as well. Sam Devantier just sitting behind here, and it's a very stressful situation being in a line of cars coming into a corner like this, because you know your braking point, but you got to almost be watching the car in front of the car in front of you to try and keep yourself going. Justin Howe into the wall, and that's a big contact there between him and the number 12 of Zach Blanche, now back down into 6th place. This is a great battle here for the top 6. Mitchell McLeod sitting in 3rd with Ryan Jones just behind him. Justin Howe going up the inside of Jones into the right-hander. Seems to have maintained that momentum, but Jones power down around the outside, keeps himself there, forces Howe to take an alternative route around the corner, and Zach Blanche taking advantage of that. Howe left the door open, and now he's going to have to try and jam it shut as we have 3 wide further back in the field. Oh, goodness me, Dwayne Priest and Aaron Dillon coming together, coming onto the oval. Oh dear, take it easy, guys. Trying to take advantage with Sam Devantier, and it looks like it's worked for Dillon at the very least, but now we're in a proper 4-car battle here for the last position in the top 10. 2 distinct groups there on track.
Apparently Devantier is going to go a little bit deep into the chicane. Dillon goes even deeper and is going to have to cut the chicane and get a slowdown as a result. So that's not what he's going to want at all, but it's going to be white flag this time for Ben Snell. And that little battle pack going on for the final spot on the podium and pretty much 4th. You have to remember Justin Howe and Ryan Jones have equal on points heading into this race as well. So at this point, it is Ryan Jones is going to be winning this round so long as he doesn't choke like he did in race 1.
Well, we'll see what happens. I know that he would have heard you say that, Cam, and I think there'll be words after the broadcast ends as we see the battle continue between Devantia and Dylan. Up the inside goes Devantia, bounces off the wall on the inside. Dylan bouncing off the wall on the outside. Side by side again between the two of them. I love this sequence of turns for racing. Really produces some fantastic battles, and Christopher Finlay trying to get in on that, but of course he is a lap down at the moment. He won't be able to play any part in that. Ben Snell, though, all the way out in front. An excellent drive from this guy, and he's shown himself to be one of the premier competitors in the Pro Truck Showdown when he has turned up, and I think that he'll be very happy with this victory. It seems like he's done everything he needs to, just let everyone battle amongst themselves to sort out, but the fight for the round win is still yet to be decided. Snell is about to come into the final chicane. We'll grab him as he crosses the line, but then we'll have to get our attention back to Ryan Jones and Mr. Justin Howe. Ben Snell goes across the line to take the win. Matthew Hill in second. McLeod completes the podium, and it's going to be Jones ahead of Howe. So Ryan Jones, it seems, is your first round winner of the Pro Truck Showdown Summer Series. Sam Devantia getting by Aaron Dillon on the last lap as well for 11th place. Good to see that that battle has worked out between them as well. But what a round to start things off. Ben Snell celebrating. And Ryan Jones, despite not winning any of the races tonight, should come out on top in terms of round points. There are your results.
Solid victory there for Ben Snell in the end, and then you got Matthew Hill coming home in second. McLeod's going to round out the podium after starting all the way down to 15th as well, so very, very solid drive from him. And then Ryan Jones in fourth, and we'll take out the round victory by the looks of it, based on our calculations. At least just now is going to come home to round out the top five. Zach Blanche in at 6th, 7th to Todd Maxfield, at 8th to Sean Hurley. Daniel Stevens rounds out the 9th and 10th position with Dwayne Priest.
Yeah, good run there from Dwayne Priest, starting 18th, worked his way up into 10th. Sam Devantia unfortunately lost one position, but he had a lot of fun battling with the likes of Aaron Dillon there in 12th. Tyler Lugo Vickery and Gary Wellman, along with Zachary Burge, rounding out the top 15. Gregory FAVELLE was the last car to finish on the lead lap, with Craig Roffey, Christopher Finlay, Brian Traziz, and Wilhelm Leighton all finishing a lap down. And then we get to retirement territory. Cohen Attard, 3 laps down. Daniel Aish, 5 laps down. Dylan DeBono, Sam Stride, Gavin Sadler, and Damian Westbrook unfortunately not taking to the finish, with Blanche, Howe, and Foss not taking to the grid. Stride, Sadler, DeBono, Westbrook, those guys will be hoping for a lot better from the next round of this series. And I guess now we turn our eyes forward to the rest of this season and to the rest of the upcoming season on iRacing, because here on SimSpeed TV, we've got an iRacing official series broadcast coming up tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. We are broadcasting the top split of the VRS GT Sprint Series. So make sure to tune in for that if you're interested in watching. If you're interested in racing, just register for the 9 p.m. AEDT time slot, and we'll be sure to provide you some fantastic racing tomorrow night. Hopefully it's as good as the stuff we saw tonight here in the Pro Truck Showdown Summer Series. I'm Reese Gardner. It was Cam Dance alongside me in the commentary box. Jay Kennedy controlling the cameras, making everything happen behind the scenes, and you heard Ryan Jones a couple of times there as well. From all of us at SimSpeed TV, bye for now, but not forever. We'll see you tomorrow for VRS GT Sprint.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going with the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?